Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to GSL English. My name is Gideon, and in today's lesson, we are going to improve our English by reading an article together. So, the article that we are going to read today is taken from engu.com, and it is entitled UK Kids Want to Spend More Time in Nature. So, reading this article together will allow you to practice your listening skills, learn some new vocabulary, and improve your pronunciation along the way. So, we will separate the class into two parts. Firstly, I will simply read the article out loud. So, follow along with the text on the screen and try to understand the main points from the article. Secondly, we will then break down everything and see what we can learn to improve our English. So, it's very similar to my podcasts, but will be a lot shorter in length. So, if you do enjoy this lesson, please let me know in the comments and I will continue with this series of article breakdowns, but in a much more easier and manageable amount of time. So let's get straight into it. Please read along as I read the article out loud. UK kids want to spend more time in nature. Most children in the UK would like to spend more time outside in green spaces, according to a survey by the National Trust. The National Trust is a charity that looks after hundreds of special places in the UK, including old houses, gardens and natural areas, so the public can enjoy them. It found that 76% of children would like to spend more time in nature. The Trust, with children's newspaper First News, surveyed 1,000 children aged between 7 and 14, and more than 1,000 of their parents. The survey also found that 63% of parents take their children to green spaces in nature once a week or less. Many said it wasn't easy enough for them to get to these green spaces. Others said the cost of going to these places stopped them from visiting more often. The Trust has called for the UK government to make sure no one lives more than 15 minutes from green spaces or blue spaces, places like lakes, rivers and the sea. That's something 4 out of 5 parents said they supported. It was also a promise the government made in 2023, but at the end of the year, The Guardian reported that the government did not yet have any plans to make it happen. According to government data, 38% of people in the country live more than a 15-minute walk from a green or blue space. Spending time in both green spaces and blue spaces has been shown to improve mental and physical health. Nikki Cox from First News said spending time in nature also helps young people develop their curiosity. So it's an interesting article, isn't it? And if you need to listen to that again, just go back, listen again, and enjoy it. So what we are going to do now is break down each paragraph and see what we can take from it to improve our English. So the first paragraph stated that most children in the UK would like to spend more time outside in green spaces. That's an interesting selection of words, to spend more time. And this means to dedicate time to a purpose. And we can think of it like spending money out of a budget. We dedicate a certain amount of money to a particular thing. So in this instance, if we have a limited amount of time, we decide how we are going to spend it. So here, it's saying that most children in the UK would like to spend or allocate or dedicate more of their time to outside green spaces. And a green space is an area, an open area that is reserved for parks and natural areas. So, it's those nice natural areas where we can be with nature, with trees, not within buildings and concrete, but outside. So that is the initial statement that it makes, that most children would like to spend more time basically outside and in nature. And that was according to a survey by the National Trust. Who are the National Trust? Well, in the next paragraph, we see that the National Trust is a charity. So by meaning national, it's nationalistic, perhaps English. And a charity is an organisation that is exclusively not for profit. So this charity in England, the National Trust, looks after hundreds of special places in the UK. So although you have to pay to be a member of the National Trust and visit, as it says here, these old houses, these gardens and natural areas, it is registered as a charity, meaning that it does not take profit. And profit is money that someone else gains. So, according to the National Trust, in that survey, it said that 76% of children would like to spend more time in nature. So this trust, along with a newspaper, surveyed. To survey is the process of collecting, analysing and interpreting data from many individuals. So sometimes, perhaps in your city, it happens in London, you might every now and then be stopped and they would like to perform a survey on you. So they will ask you questions about a particular topic. They will do this with many other people and see what the average data presents to them. So here they did a survey with 1,000 children, ages between 7 and 14, and then with their parents. But along with the children wanting to spend time outside, this survey also found or brought to their attention, the data that it highlighted was that also 63% of parents take their children to green spaces in nature once a week or less. So once a week or less. And, many said it wasn't easy enough for them to get to these green spaces. So the reason that they weren't doing it more was because it wasn't easy enough. And this basically means that it was harder than it should be. So maybe that's because of distance, because of time. But one reason that it highlights here is that the cost of going to these places stopped them from visiting more often. And it is very true that in the UK, we of course have some beautiful places to visit, castles and natural areas, but the cost can be very high. So the trust, that is the National Trust, has called for UK governments to make sure no one lives more than 15 minutes from green spaces. So perhaps that is a 15-minute drive, so how long it takes to get to these green or blue spaces. And that is places basically with water, so like lakes, rivers and the sea. So green or blue spaces. And of course in England we have many beautiful both green and blue spaces. And the parents supported this. That's something 4 out of 5 parents said they supported. To support something is to agree with and to go along with it. But this was a promise that the government made. And if we make a promise, that is a guarantee that we are going to do something. But The Guardian, which is a newspaper in England, reported that, they didn't have any plans to make it happen. And if we make it happen, we do something and complete it. So if we make something happen, we make it actually come to fruition. We complete it. We do it. So as of yet, the government has not made this happen. According to government data, 38% of people live more than a 15-minute walk from a green or blue space. So meaning it takes them 15 minutes to walk to one of these spaces. And it brings out an interesting point here that spending time in these spaces improves both mental and physical health. And that is the strength and condition of our mental and physical state. So, of course, it improves us physically when we're out in nature. We are walking, we're taking in the fresh air, and it's good for our bodies physically. But also, it affects our mental health positively. We are outside. We're not always looking at a screen or working or stuck indoors. So it also improves our mental health. And Nikki Cox here from the First News said that spending time in nature helps young people to develop their curiosity. Curiosity. Children are curious by nature, and that means that they have a strong desire to know or learn something. So here, the final statement of the article is that spending time in nature helps these young children to develop their curiosity. So absolutely brilliant article there. Few areas of pronunciation that we might want to take notes. Governments, very often we might hear people pronounce it as governments. Want to be careful of that. Interesting spelling of the word guarantee. And also we can look at that final word there, curiosity. But there you go. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson today. If you did, please let me know. As I say, it's very similar to my podcasts, but I wanted to present to you that kind of lesson in a much shorter format, almost like a bite-sized approach to my podcast that you can quickly listen to, because I know you don't always have 30 minutes to an hour to enjoy these lessons. Life is busy. So if you did enjoy that, please let me know in the comments and I will prepare. Please let me know in the comments and I will prepare another one. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Have a good one, guys.